Hi guys, my name is Imran and in this tutorial series you're going to learn about Gutenberg. Now in this video you're going to learn what Gutenberg is, why do we need it, how you can use it, what are the prerequisites that you need to have before learning Gutenberg. So all of this information basically. So this series is going to be about learning Gutenberg, creating custom blocks with Gutenberg, creating a plugin that allows you to insert a custom block in the WordPress editor. Okay, but this specific video is going to be a short video for introduction with Gutenberg. Okay, so let's begin. So what is Gutenberg? As you must already know, Gutenberg is a new way of editing in WordPress. Okay, we have a classic editor that had been there in WordPress for a long time, but Gutenberg is new and it's actually going to provide us a new way of editing and giving user a rich and engaging experience while writing content. So it's going to be all about content. Okay, so let's understand that what was the need for Gutenberg, why did it come into existence. So for that, let's understand what was the problem with the classic editor. So to understand that, we'll take an example of copying content in classic editor. Okay, so what we're going to do is we will take a Google Docs, a document in Google. Okay, we're going to copy that, we're going to paste it in the classic editor and see how it looks. Okay, so this is my classic editor and I will open Google document. You can see this is the Google document. I'll copy the entire thing and I'll just paste it here. So you can see the format and everything is changed. It is not appearing how it was before, so you actually don't get what you see. And in fact, when you publish this content in the front end, you can see I've actually lost all my formatting and everything, right? So this is not very helpful, correct? So in 2017, someone said that this editor will endeavor to create a new page and post building experience that makes writing rich, post effortless, and has blocks to make it easy. What today might take short codes, custom HTML, or mystery meat embed discovery. So it talks about that when we have a new editor, which is of course the Gutenberg, okay, then it's going to give user a better experience when they are writing content, right? So it's going to introduce a new concept of blocks, okay, and it's going to make it easy for them to write content, and you won't have a problem that we just saw in the classic editor. So can you guess who said that? Okay, I'll give you a hint. Can you guess who this guy is? Absolutely right. He is Matt Mullenweg, guys. So he's founder of WordPress and Automatic as well. Okay, so let's see how it's going to benefit us. Okay, so we'll take the same example of copying content in the Gutenberg editor this time. Okay, so let's see. We'll go ahead and write a title for our blog, and this is a new Gutenberg editor. We'll copy the same content that we copied for the classic editor and we'll paste it here. Brilliant. You can see that the content looks exactly the same how it was in the Google Docs, and if you publish it, even on the front end, we don't really lose our format and basically different styles, etc. So you can see that this has solved the problem, because earlier when we pasted the content we lost all the format. So this was we didn't actually get what we see, but here you get what you see. Whatever was pasted in the back end, it looks exactly the same as well as in the front end as well, right? So what is Gutenberg again? It's a new way of editing in WordPress. You actually get what you see, so whatever you pasted in the back end, it looked and appeared the exact same way as it is there in the front end as well. Okay, and it's the name of the project to create a new editor experience for WordPress. It's also called block editor. So the previous one which we're currently using, which we're earlier using, was classic editor, and this one is block editor. You don't have to worry, even if you still like the classic editor, you can still use it. There's a plugin called classic editor. You can just install it and you can switch between the classic editor or the new Gutenberg editor, which came in WordPress 5.0. So it's a next generation editing interface for WordPress. Conceptually, it's a block based editor, and every content. So what is a block? Block means that every content element is a block. Okay, it's a collection of blocks that make up the content on the page. Okay, so let's do a comparison of classic editor versus Gutenberg editor. So classic editor has a concept of free-form text with embedded media and shortcodes, as you must have already seen, and Gutenberg editor has a concept of blocks, and blocks treat paragraphs, headings, media, embeds all as components and strung together to make up the content stored in WordPress database. So it basically breaks the entire component into small chunks called blocks. Okay, so it makes it easier for anyone to reuse these blocks if they want to. So if they make one block, they can use it in multiple pages or posts, etc. So basically it introduced the concept of reusability when you use Gutenberg blocks. Okay, so what are the features of Gutenberg editor? First thing, it's designed with progressive enhancement, and it does provide, even though it gives you so many features, it does provide backward compatibility also with all legacy contents. You know, so if you're thinking that what would happen to my existing theme or meta boxes, etc., you don't have to worry about it, because it does provide the backward compatibility. You can simply go ahead and upgrade it to the latest WordPress, and you don't have to worry about losing your content, etc. It just basically what it does, it tries to convert and split the classic block into block equivalent. It gives you ability to visually drag and drop creation tools. So you know, you can drag and drop different tools in the editor, so makes it easy for someone who doesn't have a lot of technical knowledge. And as I said, that it provides you with a reusable component, rich APIs and hooks to modify and extend the editor through custom blocks. So if you are a developer and if you want to extend the editor, you can definitely do that. You can create your own custom blocks the way you want to, and there are a lot of blocks already available that people have created, and they are really excellent ones. Blocks are hierarchical, which means they have children, so one block can have multiple children, and even those child can have multiple child inside of them, so they are hierarchical. Okay, also blocks are written entirely in JavaScript, guys, so that is why it is important that you know JavaScript well. Okay, and its JavaScript codes runs on the browser and not on the server. Okay, JavaScript powers its rich and dynamic user experience. So that's the beauty of JavaScript, because it uses JavaScript, it is able to provide that kind of experience to our users. Okay, so now we'll talk about building custom blocks. So what do we need for that? We can build our custom blocks in ECMAScript 5 as well as in ESNext. So ES5 and ESNext. So even if you don't know ESNext, you can still make it in ES5, but my recommendation would be that you should learn ESNext. Now you must be wondering, what is this ESNext? Is this JavaScript or what it is actually? So let's talk about it. So let's understand the history of JavaScript. Since we are talking about Gutenberg and it's built on JavaScript, let's talk a little bit about JavaScript as to how it started, how it evolved, and what are these ECMAScript 5 and 6, and what do these things actually mean? Okay, so what is JavaScript? So JavaScript is a scripting language that enables you to create dynamically updating content and control multimedia and animate images, etc. So you know that HTML basically provides you static content. CSS is something that allows you to basically decide how your content would look on the browser, and JavaScript is something that controls the behavior of your website. For example, if you click on a button, what should happen next? A pop-up should open, okay, or something should some development should slide down. So these kind of events basically is taken care of with JavaScript. So JavaScript is something that runs on the browser, but with Node it's now even possible to run JavaScript on the server as well, which actually gives us very fast experience. Okay, so it was written by Brendan Eich in 1995. That's when exactly it was originated. Okay, and he was working for Netscape at that time, and earlier JavaScript was called Mocha or LiveScript. Then what happened is in 1996 and 97, JavaScript was taken to ECMA. So the full form of ECMA is European Computer Manufacturers Association. Okay, so when JavaScript was taken to them, what they did is they released ECMAScript, or ES. Short form of that is ES. That's why you call it ES5, ES6. Okay, which is basically a trademark scripting language specification created by ECMA. And the reason why they created this ES, basically ECMAScript, is to standardize the implementation of JavaScript. Otherwise, everybody will start implementing their own pattern of JavaScript. So that wouldn't be really helpful. There needs to be some standardization that needs to be done across the globe, so that everybody implements the same thing. So that is why they went and created this ECMAScript, which is a scripting language specification created by them to standardize JavaScript and to foster or promote multiple independent implementations. Okay, so that's basically happened in 1997. So the first version of ECMAScript was released in 1997. Then the ES2 or ES3, or we can call it ECMAScript 2 and ECMAScript 3, was released subsequently in 1998 and 1999 respectively. Okay, and but for the next 10 years there was no release. Okay, and I took over as primarily, which is Internet Explorer, took over as primarily browser with its own version of JavaScript. So there were major revolution in this gap of 10 years outside of the ECMA community. Example, there was a birth of Ajax in 2005. Then there was jQuery, Dojo, Prototype, etc. Okay, so there was a big gap of 10 years, and during this there was a lot of revolutions that happened. And then finally in 2009, after 10 years of gap, ECMAScript 5 was released. Okay, and then in 2015, ECMAScript 6, or it's also called ECMAScript 2015 because it was released in 2015. That is why the name is given like that. Okay, and also anything after, you must have heard about ECMAScript Next or ES 2015 Plus. So anything greater than ES5 is called ESNext or ES 2015, basically the modern JavaScript. Okay, so next time you see ESNext or ES 2015, you know that it was any JavaScript, basically modern JavaScript after ES5 is called ESNext or ES 2015. Okay, that's the simpler way of writing things and grouping things together. So the question comes that what do I need to know to learn Gutenberg? If you are a developer and if you want to build blocks and make changes, or even contribute to WordPress core, what are the things that you need to know? Okay, do you need to know a lot of stuff, or with just basic skills it'll be fine? Okay, so can you make a guess as to what is the first thing you need to know? Absolutely, guys, it's JavaScript. Because it's built on JavaScript, because it's created with JavaScript, JavaScript is extremely important. And Matt Mullenweg has been saying this since the start, that please learn JavaScript. Even before Gutenberg was released, he spoke about it. The reason for this is because JavaScript is dynamic language, and because of this reason it gives you fast performance. Okay, so that's why everything is moving towards JavaScript, and it's going to be very healthy for all of us if we learn. JavaScript basically runs on the browser side, client side basically, but because of Node it now runs on the server side as well. So this brings us uniformity, because rather than learning 10 different languages to create a project, like for example for backend you learn PHP or some other languages, backend languages, then for front end you learn JavaScript. So rather than making different languages, if you just learn one language, and tomorrow you can build a project in Node where you have everything is JavaScript, right? So JavaScript is definitely important. It's not that you need to have a very deep understanding of JavaScript, but basic understanding is important, and slowly then you can build on it. The next thing is ES6. So as we discussed, it's the ECMAScript version, basically ES6, which was released in June 2015. Okay, so ES6 basically, it's not rocket science guys, it's just introduction of some new concepts which has made our life better. For example, they introduce arrow functions, for, off loops, etc. So basically, if you try to learn ES6, it shouldn't take a long time. You just need to learn a bunch of functions, some different syntaxes, which will make life a lot easier. Okay, so it'll be good if you learn ES6, but even if you don't, you can still write blocks in ES5 as well. Okay. Next thing is JSX. So guys, JSX is basically a syntax that blends HTML and JavaScript. So that is going to be very useful if you learn that. Okay, and it makes it easier for you to read and write the markup code. Okay. Then next is Babel, guys. The reason for this is because if you go to caniuse.com and if you try to search arrow functions, which actually were introduced in ES6, you would observe that not all the browsers do support it. Okay, there are browsers, of course, Internet Explorer is definitely the first one not to support anything. Okay, because they take time. It's not that they don't support it, but they take time. So technology is improving really fast. JavaScript is getting better. So of course browsers take time to adapt to that. Okay, so not all browsers support it. Even JSX is not supported by all browsers. Okay, so what we need is basically we need someone to transform that code into a code that browsers can understand, and for that Babel is the one that helps us. It basically transforms one source code to another source code, so one form of JavaScript to another form of JavaScript. Okay, so you need to learn Babel as well. Okay, and then we have Webpack. So the job of Webpack is basically to take all of your dependencies and bundle them together and just give you one file, because as you understand, if you worked on React or probably Laravel or in fact most of the programming languages are now taking the concept of modular pattern, making different components, breaking your codes into chunks. So it's really easier for you. For example, you can have a file for home.js, you can have a file for about page like about.js, but if you include individual scripts into your file, then it will make that many HTTP requests and make your site performance slow. So that's why it is good to include just one file, and Webpack really does it well, because you can have different modules, but then Webpack, and then just continue writing your code, and eventually Webpack will just bundle all of those files together at the build time, at the runtime, and it will just include that into your main index file, and then only one file will be included. So it's going to really help you with the performance. And Webpack really helps you integrating these plugins as well. It works well with Babel, which helps you transform your code that all browsers can understand. Okay, your JavaScript code. So you can learn Webpack as well. I have created an entire series on Webpack, and there is a crash course on Babel as well that you can learn. That's there on my site. You have options to learn from videos, because some people like to learn from videos. If you don't want that, you also have options to read blogs. So I've written blogs on both of them that you can learn. Okay, so there's a detailed information available to them, and trust me, it is definitely going to help you if you learn these two things, including the ES6, JSX, Babel and Webpack. Okay, because even WordPress is using it behind the scenes. Okay, and of course if you learn Node, is going to be good for you. You don't need a lot of knowledge about Node, but at least you should know how to run npm, which is a Node package manager. It basically helps you install and manage packages of Node. So basically you just need to know how to install packages, at least what is package.json file and things like that. Okay, the best part is that WordPress also provides you with something called a package called wordpress-scripts. So if you don't know Babel and Webpack, it takes care of all of that. It goes ahead and install all of the dependencies for you. So even if you don't really get a lot of knowledge about Babel and Webpack, it handles that. So, but behind the scene, it's using that just for your information. So if WordPress is using it, then definitely you can understand that it will be quite useful if you learn that as well. Okay. Next thing is PHP. So WordPress works on PHP, so definitely that's something you should know about. I'm sure if you already know most of it, or if you know all of it, well and good, but these are the prerequisites, these are the languages that you should know about, okay, when working with Gutenberg. Okay, so why do we use ESNext, JSX, Babel and Webpack? What was the requirement for it? I think most of it I've already covered by explaining to you what is the requirement for each of these, but just reiterate that. Okay, so ESNext makes for a simpler code that is easier to read and write. Okay, we can convert ESNext and JSX syntax to code browser, to a code that browser can understand, all browsers can understand. And using transformation tools help in optimizing our code for the widest variety of browsers, okay, and organizing your code into smaller modules and then bundle them together using Webpack into a single download, which we just spoke about. So all of this I've already explained. It's just a reiteration of that, just to recap. Okay, next up, why do we use ESNext JS? Okay, one more thing is that both Webpack and Babel are tools written in JavaScript and run using Node.js. Okay, as I explained earlier, Node.js is a runtime environment for JavaScript outside of the browser, so it helps us run JavaScript on the server side. And Node allows you to run JavaScript code on the command line as well. Now, I spoke about a package that WordPress provides called WordPress-scripts. Okay, and as I explained to you earlier, that if you don't have a lot of knowledge about Babel and Webpack, it does all the job for you. I mean, if you go through my tutorials on Babel and Webpack, you will understand that you need to install them and set it up, which is pretty simple and easy to use, but it takes time initially for you to learn. But if you don't want to get into it too much, if you just have basic understanding, WordPress-scripts is a lovely package that they've come up with. You just install it, it will take care of all the dependencies. You don't have to worry about setting up your configuration files for Babel or Webpack. It'll take care of everything on its own. It's amazing. So when I teach you how to install and how to use all of this, you will see how easy and how simple it is. For someone who's already set up a project using Babel and Webpack, and if you do now with WordPress scripts, you will really understand, you know, how simple it makes your life. Okay, so what it does is basically abstracts these libraries away to standardize and simplify development, and it handles the dependencies and default configuration for Webpack and Babel, which is just, I just explained that. This is just a reiteration of the same thing. Okay, alright guys, so I hope you did like my video. My name is imranhsayed. You can follow me on Twitter at imranhsayed, as well as on Instagram, imran_.sayed. Okay, and in the next video you're going to learn how to create custom blocks using ES5, and in the following video you're going to learn how to set up your project using WordPress script package that we just spoke about, and how to go ahead and create a plugin that allows you to create a custom block that you can use for Gutenberg. Okay, brilliant guys. If you did like my video, please do like my video, share it with others, and do subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions on Gutenberg, you can ask me in the comment. Thank you guys, take care, bye bye.